see a man named Spear is catching the fish. While catching the fish he suddenly gets attacked by a big crocodile. Spear jumps into the water and hides behind a rock. After some times he takes all the fish he caught and starts going back to his home. He sees a footprint of a dinosaur on the path of his house. Suddenly he hears the sound of his wife and he runs towards it. He sees the 3 dinosaur eats his wife and 2 children. He gets very angry and throws his weapon at the one of the dinosaur. All 3 dinosaur stares at him ready to attack. Suddenly they hear the sound of their mother. And they all follows her. We sees the mother of those 3 was a big dinosaur. Spear becomes very sad and sees the painting of their family, and then he starts climbing a big mountain. And stands at edge of it, tries to do suicide. But he don't have courage to do it, that's why sits down there. And he decides to start a new life. On the next day we sees him catching a fish and eating it near a river. Then he sees a dinosaur catching fish by her mouth and going somewhere. Spear follows her and sees that the dinosaur has a 2 small little dinosaur, which she was trying to feed them. The name of the mother dinosaur was Fang. Suddenly that 3 dinosaur comes there and attacks them. Mother dinosaur tries to defend her children from them. Seeing this, Spear also helps her. The mother dinosaur kills 2 of the dinosaur and Spear kills the last one by its weapon. The children starts playing with Spear. Suddenly they get attacked by the mother of that red dinosaur. She kills the Fang's children. Seeing this, Fang and Spear gets very angry and attacks her. Eventually Spear gets on the back of the Fang. By the help of Fang, Spear kills the dinosaur by its weapon. Spear sees the Fang sad and goes from there. After some time he sees that Fang is following him. He becomes happy and they both becomes the friend of each other. In starting we see Spear running in the jungle to hunt a boar. He follows him and throws his weapon at him. Fang grabs the boar and the weapon hits the tree. Spear sees the Fang eating boar and walks away in jungle. Later Spear tries to hunt another boar but Fang follows him. They both smell the boar nearby and sees a boar. Fang pushes the Spear away and goes after him. Spear climbs on a tree, throws his weapon at boar and kills him. When he goes near boar but sees Fang eating it, Spear gets angry on Fang and eats an insect which was near him. Spear later goes to defecate. Fang follows him and also defecates near him. Later Spear climbs a tree to pluck the fruit from it. But Fang hit the tree and falls him down. She also eats the fruit of the Spear. Seeing this, Spear gets angry and pushes her. Later at night Spear and Fang sleeps in the cave. On the next morning Spear and Fang walks near the waterfall for the hunting. After some time they sees a deer. Fang starts chasing the deer. But Spear comes in between and yells at him and walks in the jungle. He follows the deer and sees that Fang had killed him. He gets very angry and they both starts fighting. Fang breaks the weapon of Spear. Spear gets angry and breaks the branches of a tree and starts fighting him again. While in a fight they both suddenly hear a hissing sound. They sees lots of snakes covering the jungle. They starts running away. Flood comes, takes the snake into them, and catches up to Spear and Fang. Snake attacks Spear but Fang kills it. Spear goes on the surface and sees that they are going to fall off the waterfall. They both falls into waterfall. Spear hits lots of rocks and passes out. Fang sees Spear and bring him near the shore. After some time Spear wakes up and Fang gives him the tip of his weapon as saying sorry. They both starts working together and hunts a boar and cooks it at night and eats it. In starting we see a herd of mammoths walking in snowstorm. Behind them we see a old and injured mammoth lacking behind, struggling to stay with herd. After some time his herd gets away a lot further, and he remains back in the snowstorm alone. He walks alone and sees some footprints. He gets on his knees and tries to go down of the hill, but suddenly gets attacked by Spear. Spear stabs him lots of time with his weapon. Soon Fang comes and also helps him. Mammoth tries to defend himself. He throws the Spear and Fang away. Spear climbs on the tusk of the mammoth and hit his eye several times with a rock. Fang also comes and bites the mammoth. Mammoth falls down. Spear looks at his eye and attacks his last blow. Because of it Mammoth dies. Spear gets very sad and feels sorry for the mammoth. He removes his skin and cover himself with it. He takes meat, bones and tusk of it with them. On the way to the cave they get caught in the snowstorm. Spear feels very cold and sits on ground. Fang surrounds him and sits near him, to make him feel warm. While in storm Spear sees their cave at a distance, and goes inside of it. On the other hand, we see that herd of mammoths had found the dead body of their friend. They gets very angry. The leader of the herd sees the track of Spear and Fang. In the cave we see Fang eating the meat of the mammoth and offers some to Spear. Spear was sitting in a corner reminding his old days with his son, where they were hunting. Spear gives his son a weapon and instructs him. Spear jumps from top of tree and attacks on his prey with his weapon. Seeing this, his son also stabs the prey with his weapon. Because of it, the prey dies, and both Spear and his keeps their hand on its face. While in the cave, it suddenly starts collapsing. Somehow Spear and Fang comes out of the cave before it collapses. They both seize the herd of mammoth, attacking them. Spear and Fang struggles to fight with them. Spear and leader of the mammoth falls on the rocks of cave. Fang bites the mammoth. Seeing this, their leaders gets angry and takes Fang in his tusks and crushes him with help of another mammoth. Suddenly Spear emerges from the cave with the tusk in his. He swing the tusk several times. Seeing this, mammoth stops attacking. Soon he gets tired and give tusk back to the mammoth. Mammoth goes from there to the another place and they keep the tusk down and prays for the died friend of them. In starting we see Spear and Fang is getting chased by some red raptors. The raptors attacks them. Spear and Fang also fights back. One of the raptors bites the leg of the Fang. Seeing this, Fang also hits them away with her tail. While running they both gets into the crop field trying to spoof away from raptors. But when they comes out of the field, they see that they were surrounded by the raptors. As the sun goes down, raptors get scared and run from there in the field. Spear and Fang sees a red blood moon rising up. Spear and Fang continue walking further. As they walks through the fog and sees a pillars of the skulls. Spear gets scared by seeing it, but Fang ignore it and continues walking. As they both comes little further, they both feel that they are being watched by someone. Suddenly they hear something coming towards them, and they both sees a man coming while carrying a boar. Suddenly the man falls on the ground, causing to break his knees. The man starts screaming and lots of man comes out of the cave. One of the man comes for his help, but a strange bat-like animal files down and grabs him. Seeing this, Spear goes to help the man and bring him to the cave. Suddenly red giant bat comes near the cave and attacks the Spear. The bat was going to kill Spear, but Fang arrives and kills the bat. Suddenly lots of giant bats emerges and Spear picks his weapon and starts fights them. One bat grabs Spear, taking him away, but Spear stabs him in his head with his weapon. Spear sees lots of bats trying to grab Fang and taking him away. Spear jumps and kills the one of the bat, and the other grabs the Spear and takes him away from there. Seeing this, Fang starts chasing them. After some time, Fang arrives at their cave on a top of the hill. She tries to climb on it, but she fails because it was too stiff. Fang sees bats coming out of the cave and she gets an idea. She roars and acts like a dead. Seeing this, bats comes to her and take her into the cave and puts her on the other dead animals they had brought. Fang gets up and tries to find Spear. She sees lots of cocoon of cobwebs. She finds out that people are inside of the cobwebs. Suddenly a giant red spider comes there and attacks Fang with her cobwebs. Spider slams Fang at several walls. Fang finds Spear and free him from the cobweb. Spear regain consciousness and sees Fang fighting with Spider. Spear sees a dead horned dinosaur. He takes the horn of the dinosaur and kill the spider with the help of it. They both comes out of the cave and sees lots of bats coming towards the cave. Spear gets an idea, run back to the spider and pulls out the web from the spider's mouth and tie it to Fang and pushes Fang down from the hill. They comes down from the cave safely. When bats sees the spider dead, they became very angry and starts chasing Spear and Fang. Spear takes his weapon from the man who he had helped earlier. Bats attacking Spear and Fang again. Then Spear gets an idea and tell Fang run into the field. As they goes into the field, raptors starts attacking bats. Because of it, Spear and Fang makes their way out and ran away from there. Starting we see Spear and Fang walking through the jungle in search of the food. While walking they arrive at a beautiful pound. Seeing it, Spear smiles and he stretches. And Fang drinks the water of the pound. Suddenly a butterfly flies around Fang. Spear goes in the water to catch the fish. On the other side, Fang plays with lots of butterflies. Spear uses his bare hand to catch a bunch of fishes. He also gives some of it to Fang. After eating the fishes, Spear sits on the ground. Fang makes a paw print beside Spear's handprint. Suddenly an earthworm comes from the ground. Seeing it, Fang reminds of the snakes. She gets scared and runs away from it. Seeing this, Spear eats the worm. Then Spear enters in the water and decides to swim. He later looks at Fang and decides to prank her. When he goes into the water, suddenly he sees strange figures walking on the ground. When he comes from the water, he doesn't find Fang. He sees the footprints going into the woods. Suddenly he gets knocked out. Eventually he regains consciousness, but an ape man knocks him out again. Later Spear regains consciousness, and finds himself hang beside Fang. Suddenly an ape man with a staff comes. Soon lots of apes stand as they prepare for their strange ceremony. The old ape man climbs a platform and orders to begin the ceremony. The apes starts fighting themselves. At last 2 apes remains in the finals. The small ape uses its skills and defeats the large ape, and wins the fight. The ape man lowers Fang, and the ape with a staff pours a drop of a strange dark potion. The potion goes from the hill into the mouth of the ape. The ape begins mutating and grows into a larger ape. Seeing it, Fang frees herself from the ropes, and tries to fight with the ape, but ape knocks the Fang down. Spear watches as Fang is in a trouble, and tries to free himself. The ape breaks the leg of the Fang. Seeing it, Spear free himself and attacks at ape. He punches its eye. The ape throws him away ready to kill Fang. Suddenly Spear climbs the platform, and throws the ape with the staff down from the platform, and drinks the strange liquid. Lots of ape attacks him, but he begins to mutate and pushes them away. He jumps to the giant ape and starts fighting with him. Spear rips its arms off and beats him to his death. The other apes get angry and attack Spear, but Spear starts killing them. They soon realize he is too strong and they try to run away, but he pursues them and kills all of them. In the following morning he gets up covered in blood, and the effects of the liquid have worn off. He rushes to Fang and sees that she is not moving. Spear holds Fang and cries. The end. In starting we see Spear holding Fang in his hand and crying. He roars in anger and starts walking away sadly. Suddenly Fang coughs blood and Spear comes to her, and realizes she is severely injured, so he need to act fast. He sees some bags at a distance. He rushes to it and sees that the bag was full of water. He brings the water near Fang. He realizes that he need to take Fang at a safe place, because vultures were flying around her. He feeds the water to Fang, and pours some of the water on the ground to make mud. He used the mud to cover Fang injuries. Suddenly more vultures arrives. Spear covers all of her injuries and tries to carry her, but Fang was too heavy. Suddenly Spear sees lots of bamboo sticks and vines. He takes them and he also finds a sharp rock, which he uses it to make himself a weapon. He starts digging near Fang and make place where he can make a bed for her. He uses the bamboo sticks and vines to make her a bed. Spear tries to push Fang on the bed, but Fang was too heavy for him. He eventually gets Fang on the bed. Vulture tries to attack them, but Spear dodges their attack and picks up the bed, and start walking through the jungle. He gets tired and stops walking. His hands were paining a lot. Then Spear goes to the river and gets water, and feeds to Fang. While feeding her, Spear sees a wild dog looking at him. He gathers some sticks and makes fire around to protect Fang. He sits beside Fang as he falls asleep. In the morning Spear wakes up, and realizes that he fell asleep. He looks around but sees no one near them. Then he continues walking, and ties the bed to himself using the vines. Soon Spear comes into the woods and sees lots of wild dogs following them. Ahead Spear sees a cave and brings the Fang in it. He scares the dogs away. At night he makes the fire around the cave, and watches over Fang. Suddenly swarm of yellow beetles attack them. Spear pushes them away from the Fang body. He tries to kill them but realizes their shell was too strong. He turns them around and stabs at their stomach. He kills all of them and roasts them, and serves them as food to Fang. The following morning Spear steps out of the cave to bring some water. He barricades the entrance of the cave with the help of rocks. After some times wild dogs walk around the cave trying to enter the cave. Spear returns and fights them and enters the cave. Fang tries to stand by seeing Spear injury, but Spear calms her and makes her lie down. He sees the dead beetles and uses them as weapons on his knuckles. Spear comes out of the cave and sees lots of wild dogs. They all rush at him and attacks him. Spear fights and kill lots of them. But lots of dog were remained. Suddenly Fang breaks out of the cave and helps Spear in fight. And they both kill all of them. And they both get covered in blood. In starting we see a herd of Brachiosaurus peacefully grazing in the forest. A Brachiosaurus goes to a tree and eats the fruit from it. Suddenly a strange seemingly sick dinosaur emerges from the woods and appears to be crazy. The Brachiosaurus tries to ignore it. But the dinosaur bites the leg of the Brachiosaurus. The Brachiosaurus kicks the dinosaur away and it coughs up blood and dies. The Brachiosaurus starts walking to pond and eventually turns sick as the previous dinosaur. The Brachiosaurus drinks the water from pond and starts vomiting blood. Suddenly its eyes gets bloodshot and the Brachiosaurus goes crazy. It starts running around and crushes all the eggs of other dinosaurs. Seeing this, one of the dinosaur tries to stop him but he bites him and kills him. The Brachiosaurus attacks on his herd and kills all of them. One dinosaur tries to run but infected dinosaur pushes him to the large spikes. On the other side we see Spear and Fang arrived at herd of dead Brachiosaurs. Seeing all of them dead they wonder who killed all of them. Suddenly the infected Brachiosaurs wakes up behind them and roars. Seeing it, Spear and Fang start running away from it. They gets into the woods and the infected dinosaur follows them, breaking the tree in his path. Spear gets on the back of Fangs and she run as fast as she can. While chasing Spear and Fang, the Brachiosaurs gets stuck into the tree. As they both slide down the hill, Brachiosaurs breaks free and falls from the slide on the ground. Seeing dinosaur still alive, Spear and Fang run into the cave. Spear and Fang gets very tired and sleeps in the cave. In night, Spear gets a nightmare where he see that the infected dinosaur had bitten him. And his skin starts to melting and Fang also melts. Spear wakes up and see from the cliff that the Brachiosaurus is sleeping. Seeing it, Spear decide to leave the cave and Fang also follows him. They walk slowly down from the hill and walk quietly and past the infected dinosaur. As they goes little further, the Brachiosaurus gets up and attacks them. Spear and Fang starts running and Brachiosaurus follows them. Suddenly Spear get hit by some rocks but he continues running. The infected dinosaur catches up to them and gets stuck in between the two walls. Spear and Fang sees him struggling to break free. And continues walking. Soon they arrive at a lava geyser field. The lava gets splashed and burns the Spear. On the other side the infected dinosaur gets free and rushes to Spear and Fang. The infected dinosaur breaks the ground and falls into the lava. As Spear and Fang starts running away, they both get shocked that the dinosaur is still alive. While running, Spear falls into the hole but Fang saves him and they exit from the geyser field. And sees the Brachiosaurus gets burned into the lava and fire consuming it. The end. Starting we see Spear and Fang walking through the jungle. While walking they sees a strange green light and a strange symbol on the rock. They sees a tribe who had tied a man to some rocks above the green fire. People of the tribe were doing some ritual on the man. Suddenly a pterodactyl flies above them with humanoid creature on its back. And it lands on a hill. The creature levitate on the ground and comes to the man. And transforms into a being with horns and transfer its green snake into the man's mouth. The tattoos on the man's body moves to his stomach and makes its way out through his mouth. As it makes its way out of his mouth he rapidly starts getting old and dies. The green snake enters the being mouth and converts into a baby. The being removes the baby and give it to a woman. The pterodactyl sees Fang and Spear and being uses its eye to spot them. And instruct tribe people to capture them. Fang and Spear starts running but they get separated in the way. Some woman tries to attack Spear but he fights back and they disappear. Here one woman uses her abilities and take Fang under her control. And also capture Spear with the help of Fang and they tie him on the rock. Spear tries to free himself and sees a woman with Fang. He screams and Fang's spell starts to wear off. Woman tries to control the Fang again but sees Fang resist. Seeing this she opens a portal into Fang's mind and gets into the portal. Where she sees Fang's baby being hatched and Spear helping Fang to defend her kids. But at last they were get eaten by the horned dinosaur. Seeing this she steps out of the portal and hugs Fang. Afterwards she goes into the Spear's mind where she sees Spear children born. And which were also killed by the same horned dinosaur. She steps out of Spear's mind and reinforces the spell. And she looks at Spear with a sad face and returns to her house. and sees the drawing of her kid and get back into her memory and sees how she got the baby. One day her child was playing in flower field and she wander away. And the woman eventually sees her fallen off the cliff and died. Seeing this she gets out of her memory. And another woman comes to her home, brings the green paint of ritual. The woman gets on Fang and comes to Spear and draws some symbols on Spear. At night the strange being arrives again on Pterodactyl and comes to Spear. The woman climbs the hill and uses the weapon to kill the pterodactyl. And then Fang emerges, attack the being and making Spear free. The being converts into wolf and fights Fang. Seeing this, woman also converts into hawk and fights with the wolf. Fang comes to Spear and carries him on his back and takes him far away. The wolf bites the woman's hand and throw her on the ground and growls and kills the woman. Fang get released from her control and in afterlife woman meets her daughter. The end. In starting we see a saber-toothed tiger walking through the jungle. Suddenly it starts to growl and a strange creature in shadow attacks the tiger. Meanwhile we see Spear and Fang sitting near fire and hearing strange sound. In the next morning Spear and Fang walks into the jungle and sees the dead tiger's corpse. And they continues walking, they keep moving and the sun gradually sets. At night a herd of dinosaur walks through the jungle, suddenly they get attacked by a strange creature. The creature kills several dinosaurs as they try to run. Spear and Fang hears the noise and Spear picks his weapon and tries to intervene. But Fang stops him and refuses to intervene. They sits near the fire and hear the wailing noises and screams from the dinosaurs. In the next morning Spear and Fang hear a strange noise at a stream. They picks the weapon ready for fight, but they sees a small dinosaur and Fang chases it away. Spear gets up to the top of a tree and sees the last night incident and feels bad for not intervening. They continue moving and they faces the strong winds in their way. Spear and Fang stays behind the rock as the wind blows. Suddenly they hears a sound and wonders what was it. At night they sits by the fire and falls asleep, and as they sleeps the fire goes out. And they hear a sound and wakes up and picks the weapon ready to fight. Fang's heart beats rapidly increases and Spear get covered in the sweat. They hear monster coming towards them and they starts to running. They comes into the thick fog and prepares for the battle. The strange creature attacks them but they dodges its attack. The creature attacks Spear several times, every time he dodges its attack. Fang attacks the creature and injures it. By this Fang and Spear gets motivated for fight. The creature screams very loud and tries to attack Spear. But Spear swings its weapon around and accidentally creates the fire, which scares the creature away. Spear realize that the creature is afraid of fire and they uses it to their advantage in battle. On the next night they set several trees on fire and capture the creature in a circle of fire. And Spear throws his weapon with fire on it, causing creature to burn and die. The end. In starting we see Spear catches a fish and Fang catches a giant fish. Seeing it, Spear throws his back into the water and tries to catch bigger one than Fang's fish. Suddenly a strange woman comes out from the water and a big crocodile attacks Spear and Fang. The crocodile takes Fang into the water and attacks her. And the woman runs into the jungle. Spear helps Fang and kills the crocodile. After that Spear follows the woman in the jungle. He comes to her and sits in front of her. Suddenly Fang emerges and roars at the woman and scares her away. They continue to pursue her and eventually gets to her. And Spear stops Fang from growling and they sits on the ground in front of woman. The woman feels cold and Spear gathers the wood and makes fire for the woman to warm herself. Spear leans on Fang and they fall asleep and woman also lays down. At night the woman sees the moon and does some kind of strange prayer. As Spear watches it quietly. In the next morning they wakes up and starts walking as the woman also follows them. While walking a giant bug flies around the woman and Fang bites it and eats it. She accidentally bumps into Fang and Fang roars at her. They catch as an animal starts eating it raw. The woman was not able to eat it raw. So she walks around and gathers some ingredients. And uses a turtle shell to cook food in it. She gives a piece to Spear but he doesn't like it and throws it away. In the next morning Spear sees the woman struggling with the restraint on her neck. He drags her to Fang and Fang bites it off. And he also used the rock to break the shackles off her hand. The woman looks at Spear and introduces herself as Mira. But he ignores her and walks away. Mira follows them and gathers the supplies in the path and creates bow for herself. In morning they try to hunt an animal but Spear misses his shot. But Mira hunts it by using the bow and arrow. They cooks the animal and Mira tries to talk Spear by drawing on the ground by a stick. She depicts Spear that how a horned man attacked her people, and forced them to slavery, and she shows him how she ran from there. After that they continue walking and come across to giant rocks, and starts climbing it, but Fang was not able to climb the rocks. Spear yells at her but she refuses to climb. Mira runs into the jungle and gathers lots of insects, and uses them as bait and makes Fang climb the rocks. At night they sleeps in a cave. In the morning Spear and Fang wakes up and sees several apes had kidnapped Mira. The apes attack Spear and Fang but they kills all of them and pursue Mira. They hears the Mira's voice and they sees lots of apes were killed by someone. They comes across the shore and sees a ship with the same symbol on Mira's head. Spear and Fang watches the ship move away, as Spear says Mira's name. The end.